So I think I hope everyone enjoyed that as much as I have several times now. I'll begin with you, Felipe, as one of the two producers on the film, the other being Martin Pauli, who is with us today. I'm wondering how this film emerged into Luis Patino's first feature. Was it always going to be his first feature-length documentary, or did it emerge from several different shorter projects?
Well, it was, of course, an evolution. Lois did several short films, and he came up with the idea of Costa Morte, as well, maybe not knowing what was going to be the format. It's quite a low-budget film. It was made with 20,000 euros, and only Lois and Carla during several months, during different periods as well. And well, they were shooting, getting more and more material, starting the editing, starting to see, okay, the things they were seeing, the things that they wanted to see again, to find more things. And then, well, after the whole process, we had Costa Morte, his first feature. So let's say it wasn't like the film from yesterday that I said. It wasn't written to be the way it is. It was a discovery.
And the film, I think, structurally in its narrative expands and becomes bigger, and this portrait of a region develops. I'm just wondering how long the process of making the film took.
Yeah, I think it's Carla.
Well, we were living at Costa Morte during 4 or 5 months in different periods, as Felipe said, and then the edition takes a long time because it was very intense to live there. So then Lois decided to left the material, rest a little, and then after he took it, the whole process, I think it was like 2 years, no? 2 years, yeah.
2 years.
Yes.
You made a short film in the meantime.
As she said, they were shooting, and then they said, well, I need to be a bit a part of the materials. So he started new things, and then he finished that short film, and then came back to the materials at Costa Morte, and then maybe they decided, okay, let's go for another 2 weeks to shoot or to do some interviews as well, because some of the sound you hear in the film is not let's say the real one. It's like interviews that were done after, and then they were put together with the images.
I'm right in thinking that it was only a 2-person team, Carla. You were in collaboration with Luis, and so you both did the sound together and the imagery. It was quite a simple setup, let's say.
Yes, we were 2 people and 1 camera and the thing of make the sound. Sorry, I don't know. Sorry for my English for everyone. And yeah, we made both all the things. No, sometimes the camera, Lois decides everything. He was a director, but I'm a photographer, so sometimes we decided together how to film, no? Yes, and the sound. The first idea it was that I made the sound, but sometimes Lois made the sound when we have to go inside the water. It was Lois who was inside the water.
I love the distance of the camera from the actual landscapes, but you seem to zoom in a lot, so it gives a flattened texture to the image.
Yes, because we film since very far, always the time, just to make this like a frame, you know, like a paint. No, that was the idea, not to flat the elements. Yeah.
And the sound is the interviews. Are they with the people who we see on screen on the image, or was that done after?
Sometimes they are. For example,
yeah.
When you see those two men walking around the mountains, and they're telling about the rocks and everything, that's them and that's life. They were they had microphones on them. But for example, that scene of where you see those two ladies they're walking alongside the beach and they're talking about that sheep and the thing of painting the houses with the milk, and well, that was an interview that done after to two other ladies, different ladies. And so there is a combination of everything, and even the sound. A lot of the sound was done in the studio after. For example, when you see them, the people that are cutting the trees, they are breathing, and the steps, everything. Those things were done in the studio. So there is a combination. It was a long process as well, though, in the editing the sound.
It was scripted in any way, the dialogue?
Not.
Sometimes it is spontaneous, most of the times, and sometimes Lois told them the issue they have to talk about, no, but then it was spontaneous. Yeah, it's not a script.
Do we have a question from the audience, perhaps? It's for such a pleasant place to look at. It's actually quite dangerous as well. Obviously, Coast of Death, the title comes from its history of shipwrecks. I'm wondering if the region still has shipwrecks, at least recorded or reported upon.
Well, they talk about the Prestige, and that happened 10 years ago only, and it was a big petrol ship, and well, they're saying the politicians, they decided to take it up to the open sea, and then it finally broke, and then the oil went into the whole coast, even made it to France. So they happen every now and then, yes. And every week you have on the news like, okay, well, 3 sailors have they passed away because there was an accident, or you see as well those guys they are picking barnacles, which is a specific seafood there, and as you seen that, well, they hide and they go to different places. Quite it's a very dangerous activity, and normally maybe 10, 12 a year they die. So it's still the same thing, even if of course technology improved as well for the ships, but still it's not a pleasant place, as you say.
And some of the local traditions, of course, are with fox hunting and others are problematic. I was wondering if you had any difficulty getting filming permission to film.
Not really. We have only to ask for permission to film in the lighthouse. That's the only thing we have to ask for permission. Then everybody was very good with us, and there was no problem with that.
Felipe, I wanted to ask, as the producer of both today's film and yesterday's film, you were all Captains and Arianos on Sunday. It's obviously an exciting time to be a producer in Galicia and off Galician.
Not at all.
But I get the sense with Luis there's a real genuine international filmmaker that's just emerged within, since Locarno in August last year. It must be really exciting to work with Luis as this new type.
Yeah, but well, that's a consequence, and of course it's really nice and we enjoy it. But well, it's simply working with him, simply something that is good and enjoyable. I mean, we did the film like we did the other films as well, without big expectations. We think more about the film and making a good film than about what can happen with them or what can. And of course, well, things happen and we enjoy them, but it is not our first objective. Our first objective is to work, to do interesting, and as well to enjoy it while doing them.
And is he working on something new?
Yes, new feature film. We are starting to work. Probably we are going to be the production again. After Costa la Morte, there is a piece that you see when there is the incendi. He did another short film taking. I don't know if you watched it. It's called La Imagen Arde. He took, let's say, like 3 minutes of the incendi and put it in very slow motion, and it lasts for 28 minutes. Different music, sound, and it's a really interesting short film. So it was kind of a spin-off of Costa Morte, but yes, the idea is to do a new documentary.
And the slowed out stretched fire sequence is already premiered in festivals?
The other one, yeah, it was premiered in Rome, and I think it was in Oberhausen this year as well. I don't remember very well.
Carla, you are a photographer in your own right. Perhaps you could explain a little of your own work and what you're up to at the moment.
Sorry, okay. Well, yes, I work like as a photographer. I also work with landscape. In fact, Lois and me, we have a very similar view. That's why we work together a lot. Well, in my work, well, now I'm starting to work with film, yes, but in a more artistic way, in a more experimental way. Until this moment, I'm not making any short film or film. I make like essays. I don't know how to say exactly. Pieces, yes, some visual pieces, that and they are part of the photography series, I always work for museums, for exhibiting them in the wall of museums. So it's different. The experience for me is different. I put them with the photos, and the videos are like complementary of the photos.
And will you return to this region specifically in your own work, into Galicia and Costa de Morte?
If I no, I was in Nepal now. Well, I am from Galicia. I love Galicia. I started to make landscape photos because of Galicia, because I live in Madrid, and it was like memory, to take the memory, and of course I will come again to Costa Morte and to Galicia to make more work. Yeah.
I'm wondering about the Galician response to this film. Have you showed it? Obviously you have. I know you have. How do the people in the film respond to it when they see it?
Yeah, well, those people they really like it, and in general, well, the response is quite good. It's better than expected as well. It's not a simple film. It's not a film for a big audience, but you have people that are used to other kind of cinema, but they see Costa Morte and they really enjoy the experience and the feeling. So we are very proud of that. But as well, to say something else and interesting is that in Galicia, parts of the film the people are not speaking Galician, and the reason is that because they were talking to Lois and Carla, and Lois and Carla are Galicians, but they grew up in Madrid, so they are not fluent Galician speakers. So probably when doing the interviews, they were kind of mixing, the people there, they were mixing Galician and Spanish. And there were some critics about it. And what is fun about it is that it all started with the guy that did the first shot that was screened today. So it was kind of funny to have them together, even if he thinks that Costa Morte is not the film, or is that, no, it's not the film, is betraying the Galician culture. So it's an interesting discussion, but we consider that of course it's documentary, you are trying to capture reality, but when you put a camera or a microphone in the middle, there's no reality is gone. I mean, so interesting discussion anyway, but again, it was fun to have both films together.
A question from the audience?
What camera and lenses did you use?
Canon, high definition Canon, I don't know now exactly the model. Yes.
It was a fixed lens.
Yes.
It's not a big camera, not a very professional.
No, it's semi-professional. professional camera. Very simple.
Yes, did you get any funds from Galician government for this, to shoot this film?
Yeah, so the project started with a fund, and that's how some of the films that are here, which was given to local talents, and they were quite good funds, because normally when you get public funds, they ask you have to demonstrate that you spend the money, you have to get invoices, bank transfer, and sometimes they only give you 50% of what you are supposed to spend. So you need to find the rest. In that case, they were saying, okay, take here you have 15,000. Of course, you needed to present the product and everything, but they say here are 15,000 and you can spend them the way you want. So that Costa Amorte is one of those examples. It got 20,000 euros for Lois, for local talent, and it is, take them and use them the best you can and bring us a film back. So those funds, it is a really good program, and it's showing really good results. The problem is that the government, they are cutting them. They don't. Well, they are not. There was a change in the government, and now the government in the ones that are governing, they are not too much into culture. So of course they cut as much as they can. That's why I told Michael at the beginning that it's not so exciting. I mean, of course it's exciting to do those films and to work with those great artists, but it's really complicated situation nowadays. For example, Costa Amorte is a film that is traveling all around the world. It's showing a part of Galicia, of our landscape, our culture, and our regional television, public television. They have quite a good budget, while they are not buying the film. And doesn't make much sense, at least for me, when they buy other stuff.
And these are recent developments, of course, and it's getting more and more complicated, perhaps, this funding process.
More and more complicated, yeah.
What's the forecast? How does this change?
Well, the forecast is, I don't know, it's kidnapping somebody or... Yeah, well, yesterday I talked a little bit about Oliver's new film, and it has been quite, it's not an easy film, but it has been quite complicated to fund it. For example, in that case, could be that, well, we are going back again to Morocco, and of course we are using another language, another culture. It's even related to religion, to the Islam and Sufism. So maybe in Spain, Galicia, they look at us like, what is this, a little bit. In the case of Lois, he wants to shoot again in Galicia, so I think for what is public funding is gonna be much easier. But nowadays, making those films, you always need it's a mix between public funds and televisions. But televisions, and it's happening all over Europe, they are less and less interested in different purposes, and artistic or cultural. They just care about having famous actors and stuff like that. So they are cutting, there are less and less opportunities, and of course, from a producer point of view, it's becoming more and more difficult.
Perhaps Lewis's next film can be Transformers 5 or something of that, a bigger budgeted film.
Yeah, well, of course it's gonna be. We want it to be a bigger film. This is low budget, and it was 20,000 euros, but it was done over 2 years. So you don't even get a salary out of that. You have to you have to make it for a living in some other way. And yeah, maybe you can do it when you are young. You are 26, 27. You have lots of energies. Not that many. You don't have a family, things like that, but of course the intention is to make it your job, not only your hobby.
To what extent, we'll touch upon this after Ariana's screening on Sunday perhaps, but to what extent, briefly, do Galician filmmakers feel part of this Galician community of cinema?
So, well, there is a new generation, and we were quite connected, meeting each other probably at universities, in festivals, ideas, doing shots together. Somebody is working on your shot, and the guy is making his shot. So the community is quite strong, and we are quite helpful between each other. I always say that, well, we'll see in the future, you know, when I don't know, somebody saying, well, Lois is too successful, and then you have the envies and everything. But now it's working quite well.
May I continue? Yes, to remind the audience, Ariana's screening on Sunday will be followed by a panel discussion that I'll be moderating with Eli, yourself, and we'll be discussing Galician cinema and what it may mean in national or regional terms. In the meantime, we have at 4 o'clock a programme of short films by Siegfried Fruhauf, and I'm aware that we need to vacate the premises in order to get the theatre ready for that. So in the event of any last questions, please do so, ask them now or forever hold your peace, or ask them on Sunday perhaps. In the meantime, please put your warm hand together for Carla, Andrade and Felipe.